While a coalition of civil society groups and a former presidential candidate, Peter Obi, have challenged the National Assembly to ensure mandatory real-time transmission of election results in the ongoing amendment to the 2022 Electoral Act. In separate protests to the National Assembly, the protesters disagreed with the Senate for not adopting only electronic transmission of results after polls. They also disagreed with the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, that about 9 states do not have access to communication network. The protesters promised to maintain the tempo until the National Assembly listens to the voice of the people. Our correspondent Joke Adisa, who has been monitoring this development, joins me on the news for more. Joke, give us update. We understand that there's supposed to be an emergency convening of lawmakers at noon. What more can you tell us at this moment?
Yes, Precious, at this moment, some of the protesters, the crowd has actually thinned down. Some of the protesters have left with a commitment to resume here again by tomorrow, especially on the sideline of the emergency session that was convened by the President of the Senate, principally to address this same issue of Electoral Act Amendment bill, the part that actually deals with whether or not INEC should have a power, should rely on the transmission of election results manually or electronically. While the act that is currently in use says that it gives INEC the privilege to determine whether it is manual or electronic transmission of results, the protesters are saying it must be electronic transmission of results, and that this is what will give the elections some credibility. So they are saying that they want their votes to count, and this is the only thing that can guarantee that this election, of course, that their votes count and the election is credible. So this morning we saw a huge crowd of civil society groups coming here to partake in the protest. We also saw the former presidential candidate of Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, also joining them. So, but as we speak, the crowd is thinning down. But what the protesters have said, is that they will continue to occupy the National Assembly until and unless the two chambers of the National Assembly change their position and ensure that there is mandatory electronic transmission of election results ahead of the 2027 elections.
And Joke, do we have feelers as to the discussion at that emergency meeting?
Yes, by tomorrow, I'm sure the National Assembly, the Senate this time in particular, will be able to address the concerns that have been raised by a class of Nigerians. We have seen so many Nigerians, of course, speaking on this matter. So there is an opportunity for the Nigerian Senate to either, of course, stay on its position and with convincing reasons, or buy into the voice of the people, the voice of the civil society communities, the voice of politicians that have also been added to this call for the mandatory transmission of election results. So basically, tomorrow, of course, is the civil society community. Everyone is waiting for the outcome of tomorrow's session. Nigerians want to know what the Senate has in stock, and so I'm sure it is at the end of that sitting that civil society communities will now decide whether or not to continue with their picketing, with this protest, or they will beat a retreat, because what they want is that we are going to prevail on the National Assembly members as their representatives to do their bidding, to do what they want, to listen to their cries, to ensure that their votes count, and that the only way the votes can count is for every Nigerian to be a partaker in the election, in the collation of the election results, which of course will be done through IREF, real-time transmission of results on the IREF of INEC. And so it is the only way they can ensure that, yes, everyone monitors, there is no doctoring of any result. So we are hoping, we are waiting to see what the Senate has in stock tomorrow.
All right, Joke. We'll see how this plays out. some Nigerians seems to be resolute. We'll see whether the lawmakers buckle or not. Thank you so much for that update. Our correspondent live for us in the nation's capital, Joke Adisa.